If you're going to get in this space and it's something that you're looking for, you need to put in 120% effort because only you are going to be the one that decides, hey, did I put 100% full effort? Did I really, really try? Or did I kind of just put in the minimum and I got minimum results? And I'm not very happy from that.
Welcome to Small Strides, Big Business, the podcast for insurance agents who want to grow their business in a way that feels smart, sustainable, and authentic. On this podcast, we have honest conversations about better sales interactions, client service, automation, mindset, marketing, referrals, practical things that move your business forward in real life. Whether you're brand new or years into the game, so grab a notebook and let's dive into today's conversation. Hey everyone, welcome back to Small Strides, Big Business. This is Krystal Small, and I'm really excited today because we have Dillon Taylor, is the founder and CEO of Ascent Financial Solutions. Hi Dillon, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Krystal.
So Dillon, you described yourself when we talked earlier as kind of like the Amazon of the financial industry, which is exciting to think about. But if you don't mind, share a little bit about who you are, where you are, how you got into insurance, and then we'll jump into it.
Yeah, sure. So, story for me, everyone, I think right out of high school, you have no idea what direction you're going to go. And so I took the route of not going into debt because I couldn't, and that was construction. I got into blue collar work, did that right away. Did that for almost like a decade. Working in construction, getting my licenses, become an electrician. And I got to the point where you're almost kind of at the top and you kind of look down and you kind of look up and you realize that there might not be any other growth there. And I didn't want to own outright a construction company with all the politics that kind of go in with it. And I had been looking for something for a couple years. Someone that I had previously known was in the financial industry, and they showed me what they did. And the first thing I said once I saw what they did was just how amazing it was, and if they were opening up any positions. And I kind of checked in. I got associated with that brokerage, and I worked full-time in construction while transitioning into finance. And as soon as we got into the financial industry, and as soon as the book of business started being built, the clientele basis, I took everything that I had learned from that company, the positive, and I created Ascent Financial Solutions and also kind of left the negative. And so we wanted to create something a little bit different. I love the mission that they had, but again, I wanted to create something that was even better, doing amazing business and also educating families and also giving agents the same opportunity that I had at like a no cost to them. So that is kind of the small and short story of how AFS was created.
Awesome. In meeting a lot of entrepreneurs and people, it seems like, people didn't desire to be in insurance from middle school. They always, it seems like for myself, this is a second career, which is exciting. And it says a lot about the wisdom that a lot of insurance agents have because they've had some life experience. So that's really great. And I know we talked a lot about the entrepreneur road and the mindset in this industry. So I'd love to veer towards that a little bit and pick your brain. Yeah, share a little bit about maybe some mindset shifts that are important for new and experienced insurance agents.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think mindset, and I don't think it just takes to insurance or finance or I think it takes to any background. There are people that super excel in whatever trade that they're in, business that they're in, sector that they're in, because they have a different mindset. I'll take construction, for example. There was people that have been working for 30 plus years, and along that line, they were never at a leadership position or a manager role or anything of that nature because they chose to kind of stay where they're at. And that was just their mindset. They just wanted to show up to work, and that was kind of it. It's not that they're not hard workers, because I think working hard and working smart are completely two different things. And I think you can do both, and you should. But the real mindset change that has to happen is you have to know why you're doing something. You have to know what the next step is for yourself. Because if you look at average America, we're working for 40, 50 years. And when we get to the point that we can retire, if we ever even get there, we're living for maybe 10 years if we're lucky. And then we're not even here anymore on this earth. And so you really have to get that strong why well, why am I making money in the first place? Why do I have this job? And what am I really striving to look for? And always look for opportunities. And that's who I was always as a person. I was always looking for an opportunity. If someone gave me an opportunity, I was there. I was making six figures plus in construction, but I was still looking for an opportunity because there's always another step and there's always more things to do. And I think once you just kind of like cap yourself out at, oh, I've been doing this for so long, can't do anything else, I think that's where those dreams go to die. And so translating it into finance and what I do, and it's a little bit more of an entrepreneurship mindset because most of the industry is commission. And it's just like real estate. In most avenues, real estate is commission only. And you have to really bet on yourself and you also have to really work hard. There's very successful real estate agents and there's not very successful real estate agents. And that's the same thing in insurance and that's the same thing in any business. And so what separates them from others, and that's they're putting in the midnight oil, they're putting in the fuel. And I heard this quote from a few people, but it's something that I'm going to repeat. Entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. And that's just a fact. And I know everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. They go on social media and they're like, hey, I see this person buying a Lamborghini when they're 18 years old. I see this person going to Turks and Caicos. And that's not entrepreneurship, right? That isn't entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is the silent grind behind that to get to that point. And a lot of social media is fake anyway. And so if you compare your life to someone else's as you're pursuing entrepreneurship and you're really trying to get yourself out of the trenches, which is what they've already done, then you're going to be very unhappy. And so you have to simply fall in love with your journey. And if you're not falling in love with your journey, well, then you're kind of wasting a lot of that time because maybe it's going to happen, maybe it's not. But if you put in the effort and the work and you know where you're going, at least you are putting in that first step to get to where you need to go. And as far as mindset as well, read an entrepreneurship book. There's so many out there. Compound Effect, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Think and Grow Rich. There's amazing books out there to really betterment the mind. And instead of, turning on Netflix, you can go read a book for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and really boost that mindset.
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind. The first thing that comes to mind, which a lot of people have said to me and I love, is don't look at somebody in chapter 30 when you're in chapter 2 and expect to have the results of chapter 30, right? Like the 28 chapters in between was a roller coaster. So that's really important. And I do think that a lot of people who get into insurance, I've heard this from many of my guests, they see the end game and they expect that to happen the first 6 months, right? So there's a lot of turnover in the first couple of years in insurance because people have realistic expectations. But one of the things that you said to me when we first met was the dream has to be bigger than the fear. So I love that. If you want to expand on that thought for another second or two.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So I think we're all fearful of something. And I think the main thing that we are usually fearful of is failure. But if you dive a little bit deeper, I think it's more so we're afraid of failing and people laughing at us. And if there's someone in your life that laughs at you when you fail, A, they shouldn't even be there. But second of all, what's worse, right? What is worse? And you kind of you can use fear as an advantage to you. Is it more fearful of trying something and falling on your face? Or is it more fearful that in 40 years, you're going to be living maybe a basic retirement, working for 40 years for someone else, holding someone else's dream, looking back on, hey, what if I would have given that opportunity a chance? And so in that essence, you can use also fear as an advantage because I fear just being normal, right? And because if you look at what normal isn't good. It's not very good right now. And especially with today's economy, it's even worse right now. So if you can utilize fear to an advantage, but as well as with that fear, you have to find the thing that you're striving for because every time you pick up the phone, every time you meet with a client, every time you're sitting down in your chair and you're like, hey, why am I doing this? Whether it's your family, whether it's retiring your parents, whether it's not living paycheck to paycheck, financial freedom, time freedom. You got a beautiful family behind you. And I think people would absolutely kill to even have that. And that's something, first of all, money can't buy, but also that's something that money can buy with time. Because if you have money, well, then you can spend more time with your family. And so that's what it kind of all goes back to. And, big thing that I go over all the time is say money, people say that, money is the root of all evil. You hear that being taught a lot, and I was taught that. And so you go to it and it's like and if you really read what that actually means, right? It's love of money is the root of all evil, not money. Love of money is the root of all evil. So if you're infatuated with money, then it's probably going to lead you in a bad direction, which is there's bad businesses, there's bad agents everywhere. In any industry, there's bad business owners. But if you money is not evil itself. It is a tool that you can utilize to better yourself, your family, and the people around you. And that's exactly how money should be perceived, not, oh, if I have too much money, I'm all of a sudden going to become corrupt,
Yeah,
right?
I love the phrase. I use this a lot is good people who make great money can do amazing things. And
Yes.
so it's really what you're doing with that money for sure.
Yeah.
So I have another question going a little bit in a different direction.
Sure.
You had a mentor, you were working with somebody else. You mentioned that you left the things that weren't working or weren't aligning with you behind and you're moving forward. What were some of those things? If you don't, I mean, I don't know how specific you can get, but what
Sure.
were a couple of the things as you were growing your own business that you
Yeah.
didn't want to bring forward? And then what did you bring forward?
Sure. So, I mean, there's a point in time, and when you start seeing everything in the background and start seeing how everything's usually ran, right? Usually, everything on the surface is great. You know, it's like eating a cheeseburger, right? You look at the cheeseburger, it looks amazing, and then as you start eating that cheeseburger, you're like, I don't feel very good, or depending on where you got it from, right? And so actually, I'm gonna translate that just to a cheeseburger. You can get a cheeseburger anywhere. At certain places, you're gonna feel worse when you eat it, but it's kind of similar to the same thing. Now, when I was working for the financial company, I did have a mentor and everyone is trained. And I started picking up pieces and kind of started learning. I learned how the accounts worked in a lot more detail because they didn't really teach that much. They kind of just taught you how to sell. And when you're taught just how to sell, you're just taught to sell. So you're just taught to like bring a commission for yourself. You're not really taught how to help someone. You're not taught how to structure an account. You're not taught how they really work in the end run. And so I made phone calls to all the carriers that we were associated with. I talked to the people that associated with all the carriers in general, you know, and I would have breakfast with them as well to make sure that I was doing the right thing for my clientele. And I started to realize that they weren't necessarily teaching how to do the right thing. They were teaching how to put money in your pocket. And so what that does is that kind of messes up the client in the long run. Their account is not going to perform how it should. Not to say that it's not going to perform, it's just not going to perform at its best and at its peak. And if you had to pick, you know, prime LeBron James to play basketball for you or prime me, you might pick LeBron James. And so you want obviously the best account for you. And so with that being said, my mentor, I ended up kind of showing him how the accounts worked, and he started realizing, well, this is kind of how the accounts work, and he had no idea as well. And again, we kind of took that out and we transitioned to creating a brokerage, which I was already in the process of doing. And as we transitioned and created this brokerage, you know, our goals didn't necessarily align with how they wanted to be. Some things that I don't believe in implementing are charging agents to work for your brokerage. You know, you're already, if you should not be making money if your agents aren't making money, is like a very simple thing for me. You should not be making money if your agents aren't making money. And so that was the whole cost basis of AFS, was to be able to allow people to just simply pay for the licensing that they need anyway, nothing through us, and then be able to help them and assist them build their book of business, build their network, and really get themselves out there, because most people don't have these extra funds to put anywhere anyway. I mean, if we look at the current state of America, you know, a few $100, I mean, that's expensive. Getting a $300 license is expensive for most people. And then adding another $150, $200 on top of that to be associated with the brokerage, I mean, that's almost unaffordable for a lot of people. And so I wanted to be able to give that opportunity, and that's where it kind of didn't align. And it was more of a, I'm going to take from the company. And, you know, I saw myself doing pretty much most of everything as far as making income. And it was like, well, this isn't probably how it should be. And so luckily we were able to take that and learn from it. But I take that as a learning opportunity, where most people would take that as a negative. And it had to happen to transition to where Ascent Financial Solutions is right now, which is thriving and doing so much better than it was when it was under that both leaderships, and kind of go from there.
Awesome. Well, clearly, Dillon, I'm sure you understand that you are like the 1% of the 1%, right? Everybody dreams and has a vision like you clearly do, but that's incredible. I do feel like, you know, oh, I'm going to totally butcher this, but the
All right.
rising tide lifts all boats, right?
Yeah.
So I love that model. That's really great.
Yeah.
So as you're building out, so it sounds like you're growing.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
and you're bringing on new brokers and lots of new
Yep.
clients. Talk to me about some of the systems. What systems have you implemented? And to be raw and real, where are you guys feeling like you need some growth just to educate people out there who are in the same situation as you?
Sure. So, I mean, for me as a company, and I always have this mindset no matter what I do, whether it's construction, whether it's finance, but I'm always looking for good agents, right? I mean, I'm going to start with that. I'm always looking for good agents because there's always more people that can be helped that I have no access to, and that they'll have no access to any financial education. So, if you kind of go back before I get even into that question, is when we're in high school, college, how many Americans are taught about finance? And that's little to none, right? And really, that bridging of the gap doesn't happen unless you're in like the top 5% of America. And then all of a sudden, all these financial institutions want to meet with you. They're like, hey, let me help you invest your money. You need to have a six-figure minimum. And that leaves like 90 to 95% of America wanting something, having no idea where to start. And so we have awesome agents, and we work a training program that works so well because they're getting taught how to meet with someone, how to educate someone, and also on the backside, they're getting into a referral market. You are, again, we talk about referral markets all the time and how important that is. If no one knows what you do, how can you grow your business? And you can say, hey, I do finance, and they're gonna be like, okay, finance is
A lot of other people.
it's a million things. And then people like, do you just do this? Do you just do that? And so we show them and we utilize it as a training because it is an amazing training to have where that agent is able to see how we present to people. We're not salesy, we're educational, and we sit with people on a complimentary basis to make sure that we can get their needs assessed and build their book of business like that. And also, everyone is in two different areas of careers, or there's only two jobs in America, which is selling something or creating something to be sold. And that is literally it. And so if you are providing a great service, which I know we are because of all the clientele that we've had, because people bring it in and they have their aunt sit down with them, or their uncle or their dad or their friend or a person that they met on the street, and they leave that call educated and having a direction to go and having an avenue to get to the next step because they had no idea even where to start. And they had no idea that they were so far behind. $1 million today in retirement isn't $1 million 25 years ago. And if you really take that down, $1 million is not that much to retire on when you also get to your age of retirement, just depending on how long we live. So really educating the people around them and also being able to show other people what they do. We get into that referral market, and you're going to get so much more in the referral market because people are going to know people that need your help. We just sat down with someone, I'll just use that example, but it was one of her friends, and her friend, they had gone to high school with each other, and she was like, I really want to show her what I do. So we showed her what she does, her friend does. And then her friend was like, well, my parents need this so much. They immigrated from Mexico. They speak Spanish as their main language. And again, I can speak some Spanish, but don't ask me to have a full-blown conversation. But we have a person on the team that speaks Spanish, which means that we can help that person and also educate that family that no one has taken the time to even educate because maybe they don't make enough income, or maybe they don't have someone that speaks Spanish, or again, they've never been reached out to. So that is the whole premise of our business and how we operate. And it's amazing to operate in that sense because we're not just cold calling a bunch of people. We're not going door to door, door knocking, because how many people love that? So
People started that way, though, I have to say.
absolutely. And so when you get into that start, and I kind of just state what I like, right? Again, I just had a door knocker try to sell me pest control stuff. And I was like, hey, man, you have an awesome system and it's an awesome way that you do it. Nothing wrong with it. It's just not something I want to do. And that's totally fine, right? Cold calling. Maybe it's not something I want to do. Maybe something other people want to do more so of, and they can get in that business. I want to not have more of my reactions be negative than positive with people that I call. Because I don't know about you, but I get cold call like 10 times a day, and I'm like, all right, please stop calling me.
Well, I mean, I think the whole know, like, and trust factor is huge, right? Because there are a million people that can help with finances, whatever that means.
Sure.
But you touched on just really educating and adding value. And I
Yeah.
think that when somebody feels like you're adding value to them, or they feel educated and put you in that expert status, whatever that level is, there's a lot to that.
Yeah.
So that's important for sure. And I do think that there's a lot of insurance agents out there that are just like, I need to close 6 things. I don't care what they are, right? But that doesn't really build the referral market. That's the
Yeah.
mentality. So that's great. Yeah.
or pushing a certain product, right? People, I mean, I've talked to many different insurance agents, financial agents, people that have worked for previous brokerages, and it was like, well, we were for a brokerage that, we would have this policy to push and we try to sell it to 30 people. I think when you're doing that, you're not really worrying about someone else. You're kind of just worrying about, hey, I need to hit my quota. And so that's where things get kind of awry. And that's where you have some negative there is that, hey, we are just trying to push something, push something, push something instead of sitting down with them and seeing actually what they need and building something from scratch with no intention. And so that is a whole point of taking that, sitting down and saying, hey, what are we looking at here? Because there's not a one size shoe fits all for everybody. That's why we operate like Amazon, because
I would say, let's talk about that a little bit. So just give us an overview of your business model. So you obviously have contracts with, and you work with a lot of companies. So share what that looks like for us.
Yeah, so I mean, very simply put, the structure of Amazon, if you think about it, why does everyone use it? And everybody uses it for most of the fact is convenience. It's right there. If you want a white t-shirt, you search white t-shirt, and then you get 100 different options at 100 different price points, and then you don't pay Amazon. You just buy the shirt, and the company that supplied the shirt pays Amazon a percentage. So that's kind of how we wanted to operate, was how can we be able to have complimentary services provided to our clients, not charge them anything, but still make an income. And it's because that company would never have a client without us. And also what's a lot better about going through us instead of just directly through the carrier, whoever provides that best solution, is that now you have someone to talk to where you don't have to be put on hold 24/7. Because these companies are major and they're big and they're great, but it's awesome to have that person that you can contact with where, like, hey, I can call Dillon instead of calling some customer service number where I'm be put on hold for 3 hours and get no answers and no direction. And so that's the cool thing about it. And so other things as Amazon is to make it feasible, right? If you were to tell someone, hey, to get the best financial service and product for you, you need to go meet with 50 different companies to make sure that you get the best solution. And so instead, they can sit down with us and we kind of do all that shopping for them. We make sure that we get the best carrier. Another great thing is we provide 100+ different companies. So if someone doesn't get approved, or this company doesn't want to take them on as a client, or they just can't make it past that underwriting, we have 99 other companies we can go through, or 50 other companies, or 20, just depending on whatever program that they're trying to get into, which is major. And so it's options. And I think having more options is going to be the most sustainable for more businesses. And then people are going to more so want to come to you because they know, hey, Dillon isn't just representing X, Y, and Z. Dillon's representing as many people as he possibly can. And so that is the main basis of that Amazon is ease of convenience, accessible, and easily comparable as well. So that is how we operate like Amazon. Did that kind of answer that question?
Yeah, no, that's great. I know I looked at your website. I stalked you a little bit since our last talk. So you offer multiple, not just multiple companies, but multiple solutions for people. So whether they're looking for retirement or they're looking for insurance or they're looking, right? So that I think is also important to mention is it's not, it's really not a one size fits all,
No.
It truly is looking holistically.
Yeah.
All right. Well, one last, not last question, but towards the end here,
Sure.
as you're growing, I feel there is a big audience that is looking to grow, right? Whether they're not here, not even in insurance yet and thinking about it. Tell me, how do you identify? This is a big question I get from a lot of people. How do I get good people to work for me? So how do you identify and cultivate those agents? How do you speak to them to know that it's a good fit for you and it's a good fit for them? Tell me a little bit about that process because you've obviously walked through it.
Sure. It's such a loaded question in the sense of there's not like a one size shoe fits all for this approach. There's been people that I've met with that I was like, hey, they might be good, and they were great. There's people that I've met with that, have kind of put their, hey, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then all of a sudden they put in work. And like, never mind. We talk about the turnaround in the industry. So finding good agents, I mean, very simply put, you go back to any industry and it's a law of numbers. The more people that know what you do, it's easiest to grow. Most people that I really talk to is, if they have a business and they're trying to grow it, you just ask them, well, how many people know what you do around you? And they're like, well, I don't even I mean, it started. I just started putting up flyers. I started advertising on Facebook. I started buying leads. I started doing all this stuff. It's like, sure, that's stuff that you can do, but how many people around you know what you do? Because wouldn't they be your first supporters? Don't they want to see what you do? What if they need your service? It could be yard work. I mean, if you know people, like 20 people in your phone contacts list around you that have a home and have a yard, well, go build. And guess what? They're going to be way more opportune to refer you to their neighbors and so on and so forth. And I think people really strive away from that because they're afraid when people see what they do. And if they were to fail for some reason or fall on their face, which I think failing is just quitting. I don't think failing is just not having instantaneous success, then they're more fearful of that. And so they just want to go to people that they have no idea. They'll post nothing on social media. They will not tell anybody about what they do until they hopefully hit that success mark, which, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't happen because they're not pursuing all avenues. But going back to identifying a good agent or identifying a good worker or just a good person in a business, usually it's from the point of why are you doing this? And it's a big question I ask is why do you want to do this? And if I have someone that comes in and says, hey, I just want to make a lot of money, I can tell you probably 10 out of 10 times that agent, it will not be successful because money hungry. If you're money hungry, just money driven, just for money, and you have no idea what you're going to do with that, and that's your biggest intention, well, A, you're probably not going to do the right thing because you're going to do anything that's possible to make more income. And second of all, we don't have a drive. We don't know specifically where we're going to go. And so the person that hops on a call with me and, hey, what are 3 reasons that we should move forward with you? And so the others that we'll be interviewing with, and they say, well, Dillon, I'm a person of integrity. I love to help people. I love to communicate. I love to build relationships. That's a person that usually is going to have a higher chance of being successful because they have the core values needed to go make the money or make an income or make an impact. So it depends on what you lead with. I lead with every day, how can I serve you? Not how you can serve me. And if you lead with how you can serve me, long-term success probably is not going to be in the cards because soon enough, people are going to see that and they're not going to want to go with you. So it's how you can serve others in your industry, in any industry that you're in. How can you serve others? If you go in with that intention, that mindset, you have a higher percentage chance, I would say, to be successful.
I love that. I love ending on that. How can I serve you? That's a wonderful way to go into every meeting, right?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
keep teaching that. That needs to be on my wall. I think it will be by the next time we talk.
There we go.
Very good. Well, this was wonderful. Thank you for your insights. There was a lot of juice here.
Love it.
I'm excited.
Got to get all the juice out of the orange, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, one last thing. If you've got a new insurance or somebody thinking about coming into this insurance space, what would you say to them?
If they're thinking about coming into the insurance space, first of all, I would just ask them why. Why is this something that you want to do right now? And a lot of people are, hey, I want to work remote. I want to have my own schedule. I want to have financial freedom. I want to have time freedom. If that's something that you're looking for, then this space, and specifically what we do here, is a perfect opportunity. But I'm also going to say this, it's not going to happen overnight. It is going to happen when you put in the work and the effort that you need to, but it's not going to happen overnight. So if you go in with the mindset of, hey, and again, any business that's starting up should be a side hustle. It's never the main income right away. It's always a side hustle first, but you're putting in 120% effort. So if you're going to get in this space and it's something that you're looking for, you need to put in 120% effort because only you are going to be the one that decides, hey, did I put 100% full effort? Did I really, really try? Or did I kind of just put in the minimum and I got minimum results and I'm not very happy from that? So that is what I would say to someone that's really looking to get in a space is, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? And what are my goals out of this? So that is really what I put down. And, a big thing if you want to compare it to, people pay someone for 5 years to get an education, but they don't invest in themselves for 5 years to start a business. That's where it's at right there.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Absolutely. 100%.
All right. Very good. Well, Dillon, ascentfinancialsolutions.com is where we can find your website, right?
Yep.
Where else? I know that you're on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so we're on LinkedIn at Ascent Financial Solutions LLC. You can connect with us there. If you're looking for an opportunity, or if you're just looking for a complimentary financial review, or even to see what we're about, feel free to shoot us a message. Our website's a great place to read us as well. There's a form and an intake form that you can fill out to see what you're looking for. And other than that, I hope to see some of you guys soon.
Sounds great. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you for spending time with me today on Small Strides, Big Business. I hope this conversation gave you some clarity, confidence,
or one new idea to move your agency forward. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow or subscribe and share it with another agent who could benefit. I'm Krystal Small, and remember, every small stride you take today builds the foundation for long-term confidence, stability, and growth in your business.